All right, guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about something super important, which is going to be the 5 things you need to know before making a purchase in the Treasure Valley, Idaho, as far as houses go. So with that being said, we're going to give you guys 5 essential tips to make sure you guys know what to expect as you get ready to relocate this way. So make sure you guys stay tuned and let's dive into the content. All right, guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am your host, Naseem Eissa, and I am super excited to go through this. As you guys know, I am a top 1% agent in the entire country in the United States, and I'm going to make sure that I give you guys the best advice to prepare you for moving to Idaho. Now, one of the most important things we're going to be talking about is going to be location, right? So today we're focused on the Treasure Valley. It is a pretty big area or jurisdiction, however you want to describe it, as far as location. So we're talking about multiple cities from Boise to Meridian to Star to Kuna. It's just a big combination of a bunch of amazing cities. Now, with that being said, it's super important to know what city is going to align best for you and your family's needs, or just yourself if you're the only one moving, right? So when it comes to what's important to you guys, you're going to need to consider is, if you're not retired, for example, how far is it from work? What does the traffic look like on a 5 p.m. on a Monday, or Monday through Friday? Or how does 7 a.m. traffic or 7 to 9 a.m. traffic look like from X to work, right? So those are going to be super important things that we're going to have to look at, because it's not going to be deep traffic like at Los Angeles or Seattle or anything of that nature, but it could add a couple minutes to your trip. And if it could make it longer than it really needs to be, then you may not be happy making that drive to and from work every single day. Now, not only do we need to consider the proximity from your home to the proximity of work, but we also need to make sure there's other things within that, such as grocery stores, shopping. Are you going to need to be next to certain hospitals, right? Do you have any special needs that are going to need to be catered to? And with that being said, we just want to make sure that we keep that as close as possible, or at least within reason, for you guys to feel comfortable living in your home. So with that being said, it's super important with that to make sure that we know, as far as proximity, where you want to look and things of that nature. Now, that should go without saying, but I like to put it out there because sometimes we tend to forget things. We get excited about a house and maybe we don't know where it's at, and then we look at the map and all of a sudden it's an hour and a half away from where we really want to live. So I just like to make sure that we stay super realistic as far as where we need to be looking. Now, tip number 2 I'm going to give you guys is going to be about the housing market in general, right? So right now, Idaho, what we're seeing is that we do have limited inventory. Now, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to make a couple recommendations for how to deal with that market, and 2, we're going to give you guys a kind of idea of what to expect. So now, although it's not super extremely low to where there's no way you're going to get a house or anything of that nature like COVID was, to where you're seeing 100,000 over asking or anything like that, I do tell people you need to be pre-approved or already have proof of funds ready to go, so that way when you do find a home, we can kind of get some information as far as, hey, is there multiple offers against it? Because that's a possibility. Is it sitting on the market and negotiable, right? Because that's also a possibility. Or is there something wrong with the house as far as condition and pricing, things of that nature, right? So there's a lot that goes into it. But what we can do is prepare for the market, and by doing so, by having that pre-approval ready, or having those proof of funds ready, if you're going to be buying with cash or needing to get a loan, then we can at least be ready and know what your budget is, and make sure that once we get to actively searching, that we can just execute from there. Now, this is what you can expect with a low inventory market right now. You may see multiple offers in situations of that nature, or even escalation clauses to where, hey, if they get potentially a better offer, then they could always bump your offer and take that better one. So we want to make sure that we're offering correctly to where the competition is, so that way you don't have to go through that. Now, I will say, in the time I've been a real estate agent, and as long as we've been doing it and killing it in the game, we have not had to deal with that as much, which is absolutely amazing, and we usually come out on top. In a low inventory market, what you're going to have to expect is there's going to be people just like you searching for the exact same homes, or maybe something similar to your homes. Now, what does that mean? That means there's probably going to be a lot more competition because there's less inventory, and that means that you may have to deal with multiple offer situations. So how can we prepare for that? Well, at the end of the day, most people, for the most important thing for them isn't always purchase price. Sometimes it's the terms of the offer. Maybe you can do a quicker closing than them. Maybe you can put more earnest money down, which is a deposit of good faith, which you do get back at the end of closing, depending on how you want to disperse that money. But different ways and different strategies as far as working through a low inventory market, which we will have to talk about depending on where we're at or where you're at with the process and what the market looks like. So it's always going to be changing. However, right now it is a low inventory market. So we just want to make sure that we know what to expect. And when we have our initial consultation together and come up with the game plan, we will thoroughly make sure to cover that so that we set those expectations and can proceed without any issues during the process. Third tip I'm going to give you guys is going with new construction or pre-existing homes. Now, for a lot of people, they actually prefer new construction, and here's why. It's not because they cost more or anything of that nature, but typically they offer a lot more concessions or promotional money back to you, the buyer, which will help you a lot as far as the purchase, right? So maybe you're worried about interest rates right now. Well, guess what? A lot of builders will actually help you either lock in a lower interest rate or offer you money to be able to purchase a temporary interest rate buy down. So there's a lot of things in that capacity that we could explore. Now, that may not be as accessible with older homes or a home that's already been lived in, because depending on when they purchase the home or depending on what they're trying to make, which at the end of the day is irrelevant to us, right? Because my best interest is your best interest. We're gonna have to negotiate a lot harder for every dollar. And that's because at the end of the day, we're dealing with another person that was once upon a time a buyer as well. And depending on their experience, they may also make that our experience. So at the end of the day, we just know that builders have a lot more funds to work with where everything is negotiable. Whereas in other circumstances with older homes, it may not be as negotiable. Now, I'm not saying older homes as in 1995 or anything, unless that's what you're looking for. However, I'm talking more so like maybe they purchased the home in 2022, it's 2024, they haven't made their equity back, or maybe they still haven't gotten their money back. They may not be willing to wiggle as much. So that's going to be another tip, is just as far as making the decision of what is the best way to go for you or best route, whether it's new construction because you love the new home, you love knowing no one ever lived in it, no one ever sat on the toilet, or is it going to be purchasing another home in a certain area where maybe you just can't put new homes there. It's just already established. It's perfect. For example, our second home that we just purchased, we're on the Lakeview Golf Course, which is absolutely beautiful in Meridian, but we absolutely love it. And this is not a brand new home. It was built in 2006, but it had everything we needed. It's right next to a lot of amazing developments they're going to make. So that's also going to help benefit us as far as investments in the future, which could be another conversation you have. Is it going to be, do you want to purchase a home in somewhere that's already developed, or would you like to move somewhere where there's going to be some developing? So we'll kind of talk about that as well. All right, now this is going to be a huge tip. So tip number 4 is going to be, are you looking for a neighborhood? You need to distinguish what you're able to look past with an HOA, or if you don't want to live in a neighborhood with an HOA. Now, I will say Treasure Valley is notorious for HOAs. It's probably something you're going to have to overcome. But with that being said, there's going to be some HOAs that are a lot more lenient, and there's going to be some HOAs that are a lot more strict. So that all breaks down to what you are willing to deal with, right? Now, every HOA has their booklet of rules and all the good things that you need to know about that neighborhood. Now, you just want to make sure that you read through those and make sure that if A, you can align with it, then it's perfect to continue. Or B, if you don't agree with some things, maybe we need to call them and see how lenient they are on certain things and get certain things in writing in case it ever comes back in the future or something of that nature. So that's going to be another tip, is making sure that you look into the HOA documents and ensure that you know exactly what to expect if you purchase that home and move forward that route. Now, I will say from personal experience, I do have a couple of HOAs where some people have absolutely loved it and they don't mind it at all. For example, I'm in an HOA, we pay $65 a month, and I know it's absolutely crazy, but because the golf course is owned by the city or whatever, we got into an HOA that's a lot cheaper. Now, some HOAs will even charge you $1,400 to $2,500 a year. So it kind of depends on how much is the HOA, what is the HOA doing as far as servicing and things of that nature to the neighborhood, and multiple other factors behind that. But you just want to make sure it all makes sense for you and that you're comfortable moving forward from HOA perspective. All right, now this is a super important thing that a lot of people don't think about, but as we talked about it previously in one of the other tips, number 5 is going to be the long-term development plan. So like I told you guys, we purchased this home because we knew what they were developing. We bought a home right next to where they're building a super village, which is basically going to be an outdoor mall. So it's going to drive a lot of traffic this way. I know our house value is going to shoot straight up. And on top of that, we live on a golf course. Who doesn't want to live on a golf course? The funny thing is, just so you guys know, personal side note, I don't even golf, but I definitely love being around the golf course. I just feel like it's just beautiful to look at the course every morning. It's beautiful because you can see the sunrise and you can also see the sunset which right now it's about almost 8 p.m. So here soon we're going to be able to see the sunset over the golf course, which is absolutely beautiful. So it's just like a location with a nature thing for me. So anyways, going back to the development side of things, it's really important to know most new constructions are probably going to be on the outskirts of the cities, right? They're not necessarily always going to be inside unless they just threw down a park or they got approved permits to build a new neighborhood somewhere within the city. But for the most part, most of the new construction homes are going to be on the outskirts. So you're going to be next to a lot of construction zones, a lot of roads being built. You're going to be next to a lot of things being built right next to you. And it's a matter of what are they going to be building, right? Are they building a new Albertsons? Are they building a new grocery store? Are they going to build a huge hospital? Are they going to build a graveyard? You never know. So it's something good to make sure that you guys are tracking and make sure that you stay ahead of it, because it's just something that not a lot of people think of long term. As far as how it may or may not affect their house value as well. I'm gonna wrap up this video real quick, but real quick, how I wanna wrap it up is I wanna give you guys some personal advice as far as purchasing a home in the Treasure Valley. Now, sometimes it could feel super stressful and it's due to how many choices you have, but once you narrow down that list, take your time, do your showings, and there's going to be a lot of things out there that you are going to go out and see and enjoy, and maybe even change your mind as far as where you want to live. And I always tell people, don't fall in love with the pictures, fall in love with the showings, right? Now, just remember, once you go under contract with a home, you're not married to it until you guys close. So you can always back out if you don't love the home, which is super important, because I know a lot of people may feel like, oh, we're going to go under contract, we're going to accept this, and then we're going to get a bad inspection. Well, here's the thing with inspections. If you don't get a satisfactory inspection, or if they don't want to fix the things within the inspection, then you can always back down and keep your earnest money, which is absolutely awesome. So we just want to make sure that you guys know, no matter how you go forward, to take your time, find the home that you guys love. And if it's just your first home, then always know that there's always a better home that comes next, right? It's all about the stepping stones. So that's just some personal advice I want to give you guys outside of the 5 tips before relocating to the Treasure Valley. So with that being said, I do want to make sure I reiterate, I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Idaho. I am in the top 1% in the country. You'll see my phone number popping up on the screen, as well as my work email. So please, please, please do not hesitate. Give me a call, give me a text, give me an email. I'll be more than happy to respond to you guys and help you come up with a game plan so that when you do relocate to the Treasure Valley, we put you in the perfect home. And with that being said, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you guys press the like button, comment where you're watching from, press the bell so you turn on notifications for more videos just like this on a weekly basis every single week. And without further ado, I will see you guys on the next one.